How's it going, guys? Normally this is when I'd read out the story sent to me through an email, but I'm starting today's video a little different. And it's no secret that I'm a small new channel. I mean, as of now, I have like 4 subscribers, and I'm very, very happy to the few of you who choose to follow my channel. I just love telling stories, whether I get thousands of views or just like a measly handful. There's really no difference to me. The joy of getting to tell stories and be creative is all I ever really wanted to do. That being said, the email I'm about to read to you is alarming for many reasons, mainly because I never expected in a million years to receive a story like this. Like I said, I'm a small channel. I really don't receive many stories in the first place, so to come across something like this is not only earth-shattering to me, but terrifying in its own way. Because once I tell this story, there is no going back for me, nor the anonymous sender of this email. So, the content within this story may be disturbing for many of you. You have been warned. So, without further ado, let's get on with the story. Dear Scare Mail, by now I'm sure you've heard about the Bayside Marketplace incident in Miami. And at this point, who hasn't? It was only all over every news outlet right after it happened. And even after all this publicity, no one is really sure what actually happened that night. Most people that were there are too afraid to talk about it, and others have been threatened to stay quiet, including me. But stumbling across your small channel has granted me an outlet to talk, to stay anonymous while bringing to light what happened that terrifying night. But before I begin, I just want to say one thing. Yes, it was real, and yes, it did happen. And what actually happened is far stranger than you, or anyone, can possibly imagine. My girlfriend and I were celebrating New Year's in Miami, and we're gearing up to fly home the next morning back to Ohio. My birthday was in February, so she thought it'd be a good idea to buy a birthday outfit while we were down there. So we went and shopped at the Bayside Mall for what we thought would be a peaceful ending to our night. We arrived at the mall and it was surprisingly crowded. A lot of kids, probably around 18 years old if I had to guess, flooded the walkways between all the stores. We worked our way through the crowd and stopped by an Express for Men to pick out an outfit. We meandered around the store for a bit before I came across a shirt I liked, along with a sports coat to match. We figured I should try everything on before leaving, so I talked to one of the workers and they assigned me to a stall to try on the clothes. My girlfriend wanted me to hurry because she wanted to try the mojito bar nearby since it's her favorite drink and everything would probably be closing soon. So, I hurried to the stall and got undressed when, all of a sudden, our night was turned upside down. I was in the middle of changing when I heard a couple loud pops come from outside the store. My worst fears came to reality. I thought it may have been an active shooter, and, worst of all, I didn't have any of my clothes on. At this point, my girlfriend ran up to the stall in a panic, begging for me to hurry up so we could leave. I wasted no time putting my shirt back on. I grabbed her hand as we began working our way out, when suddenly we finally got sight of what was happening outside the store. A stampede of people were running out of the marketplace, while 2 store workers were holding the glass doors to our store shut. A horrifying realization that we were now locked in the store with a possible shooter on the loose dawned on us. A lady came out and told everyone to take cover, which is exactly what we did. The workers locked the doors as everyone did their best to hide. My girlfriend and I took cover behind a thick wooden clothes rack in the corner of the store. We anxiously waited as the sounds of people fleeing in terror continued. But I couldn't help but notice something. There were no more sounds of gunshots. and yet people were still running like crazy, as if their lives were in great danger. No one was standing by the windows at this point, so I decided to work my way up to the main doors to see if my girlfriend and I could make a run for it. I told her to stay in the corner and call the police while I slowly moved up to the door. The walkways were now completely barren. I looked back and forth to make sure the coast was clear. I saw no people, so I called my girlfriend up to come to me so we could make a run for it. And then I saw something strange, something I didn't notice before. It startled me as I immediately held up my hand to my girlfriend to stop, to not move, because what I saw scared me more than any active shooter ever could. I saw what could only be described as a tall shadow strutting awkwardly down the walkway. I don't even think a shadow is a good description for it either. Whatever it was tall, dark, and transparent. The way it walked was incredibly unsettling, so much so that it brought tears to my eyes. This may sound silly, but it did like a moonwalk, but in reverse. Like its legs, if I can even call it those, were gliding along the floor as it moved. Its other movements were erratic, like it was sped up and slowed down intermittently. Then, things got worse. More of them followed behind the first one, moving in the exact same unsettling manner. One of the workers saw them and started to scream. I then bolted away from the window, petrified that they knew where we were now. Another worker opened the emergency exit door in the back, and it became a race for everyone to sprint as fast as they could to get the hell out of there. In a frenzy, I snatched my girlfriend's hand as we ran for our lives out the back door. I told her not to look back, because I didn't want her to see what I had seen. It was just too much to handle. We were running at a giant line of police cars, more than I had ever seen in my life, when I realized they were flagging us down to stop instead of luring us to safety, and we just kept running. We ran over a mile back to our hotel, not even worried about the rental car we left at the marketplace. We turned on the news to find out what was going on and what they were going to do about those things. But unsurprisingly, they downplayed the incident to a bunch of kids playing with fireworks, saying that there are no aliens, and that it was all just mass hysteria. But it wasn't aliens. It was something completely different. And even worse, they were still out there, and the police were going to do nothing about it. The next day, boarding our flight was one of the happiest days of my life, because my girlfriend and I were safe from those things, and I'd never have to come back to Miami ever again. Over the next couple of weeks, the story went completely nuclear throughout the news. Everyone and their mom was talking about it, and people were desperate to know what really happened. One of my local stations in Ohio had a segment on it, and I thought it'd be a good idea to share our experience so that everyone would understand just how serious of a situation this really was. I was booked to be interviewed on Wednesday of that week, so the story could air Friday night. But then, the unthinkable happened. The day before the interview was supposed to take place, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. I thought it might have been spam, so I just ignored it. But my phone just kept ringing from the exact same number, over and over. So, I blocked the number and hoped that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. An almost identical number started calling me, the only difference being the last 4 digits. Hoping to put an end to this harassment, I answered the phone to someone I was not expecting in the slightest. It sounded like a man, and he did not sound very nice. He breathed heavily into the phone, which freaked me out, but what he said after freaked me even more. "Don't do the interview," he said, bluntly. "Cancel it now. We won't be able to protect you if you go through with it, so choose wisely." He then hung up, and I never received a phone call from them again. Fearing for me and my girlfriend's safety, I regrettably canceled the interview, hoping that we could just move on with our lives. But I couldn't. This incident still haunts me, and I can't get over it. I just can't stop thinking about it. What they were, why they were here, or anything. And I just feel crazy now, despite going to therapy the last few months. I need people to know this happened, that it was real, and yet I don't want to draw any attention to myself. That's where you come in. Certainly telling you can't blow up in my face, right? And maybe people will still get to hear this and know what really happened. That's all I can hope for, at least. One last thing. On the off chance this video blows up, I'd like to ask of you to delete it. Not just for my safety, but for yours too. Good luck with the story, and Godspeed. I'll be honest, I don't know what to make of this. More often than not, people just want to share their stories with me and have an outlet to show their creativity. I don't always believe the stories I publish, but I post them anyway, because as a creator myself, there's nothing more satisfying than having your work represented and shown. But this is weird. Even weirder than the cabin in Kentucky story. Can all this shadiness really be going on underneath our noses like this? Could those things really still be out there? And if the story is really true, then why is no one else coming forward to talk about it? And why the hell is there no videos? Is it possible somebody just incited a panic by saying how they saw something and then everyone just went along with it? What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below if you have something to say, because right now, I'm stumped. So, what really happened that night? Well, I guess we'll never really know. Until we see some hard evidence, that is. But if I were a betting man, I'm going to assume that if there is any footage of those entities, then we'll never get to see them. Because at the end of the day, only those who were there will ever truly know what happened that night at Bayside Marketplace in Miami. Thanks for watching, and good night.